So angry. Pretty Woman has been hiding this from you for over 30 years, did you know? Don't think it's a perfect movie, it's exactly a subtle trick by the production team. There are many secrets buried behind the scenes that we will tell you about today. Stay calm and listen to what we will reveal shortly. It will not disappoint you. Julia Roberts' face is superimposed on someone else's body on the poster. The poster for Pretty Woman has become an iconic image in the realm of romantic comedies, and it's worth noting that it played a significant role in shaping the marketing of such films for years to come. The poster featured the two lead characters, Vivian and Edward, portrayed by Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, playfully leaning against each other. This visual concept of the two leads in a playful and romantic pose became a formula that Hollywood would go on to use repeatedly in the romantic comedy genre throughout the 2000s. However, as iconic as this poster has become, there were some intriguing details about it that were not entirely faithful to the film itself. Julia Roberts, who played the role of Vivian, appeared as the head on the poster, but not her body. In a somewhat surprising twist, Roberts' face was superimposed onto the body of another actress, Shelley Michelle, for the poster. This alteration highlights the role of photo manipulation and editing in creating the image that would be used for promotional purposes. Another notable discrepancy between the poster and the movie was related to Richard Gere's appearance. In the film, Gere's character, Edward, had gray hair, which was in line with his character's age and personality. However, in the poster, his hair was portrayed as jet black, possibly to enhance his overall appeal and create a more aesthetically pleasing image for the marketing campaign. This choice to modify his hair color showcases how promotional materials sometimes prioritize certain visual elements for marketing purposes. The original script was much darker. Pretty Woman underwent a significant transformation from its original concept, and the evolution of the film's storyline and tone is quite intriguing. Initially, the movie was conceived as a dark and gritty drama centered around the class divide and the sex trade industry in Los Angeles. It was even titled $3,000, which alluded to the amount of money Edward offers Vivian for her services over the course of a week. This version of the film was a far cry from the romantic comedy it eventually became. Werner Herzog, a renowned filmmaker known for his distinctive and often unconventional style, was approached to direct this dark and dramatic version of the film. However, he declined the opportunity to helm the project. One of the subplots that was planned for this earlier version of the film involved Vivian's struggle with cocaine addiction. As part of Edward's conditions for their arrangement, Vivian would be required to refrain from using drugs during her time with him. The original concept included a dramatic and tragic twist, where at the end of the week, Vivian would return to find her friend Kit had tragically overdosed on drugs while she was away with Edward. This scrapped subplot added a much darker and more somber layer to the story, highlighting the harsh realities of the characters' lives. However, as the film underwent a transformation into a romantic comedy, these elements were abandoned in favor of a lighter and more uplifting narrative that focused on the romantic relationship between Vivian and Edward. The necklace was actually worth $250,000. The necklace that played a prominent role in the movie was an astonishing piece of jewelry, boasting a jaw-dropping price tag of $250,000. Unlike many movie props that might be made from less valuable materials or imitation gems, the filmmakers decided to invest in a genuine necklace of significant worth, underlining their commitment to the authenticity of the production. The decision to use such an expensive and luxurious piece of jewelry wasn't taken lightly, and it came with certain security measures. Recognizing the exorbitant value of the necklace, the film crew and production team were determined to protect it at all costs. This meant that the necklace was treated with the utmost care and was never left unattended. In fact, it was under constant watch by an armed guard throughout its time on set. The presence of an armed guard was a clear indication of just how valuable and precious this necklace was. The guard's primary responsibility was to ensure the necklace's security and to deter any potential theft attempts. They were not only authorized to keep a close watch on the necklace, but also prepared to take immediate action if anyone tried to abscond with the valuable piece. The fact that the guard had the authority to draw their weapon if necessary underscored the immense value of the necklace and the lengths the production went to protect it. In essence, this $250,000 necklace was not just a prop. It was a genuine and extraordinarily valuable piece of jewelry that added a layer of realism and opulence to the film. Its presence on set with a vigilant armed guard served as a testament to the dedication of the filmmakers to ensure its safety and authenticity in the production. Gary Marshall re-edited the movie to include a Christmas song he liked. When Per Gessle, a member of the band Roxette, was in the process of planning a tour to promote Roxette's new album, Look Sharp, he received a unique proposition. He was approached to write a song for a movie that was initially titled $3,000, but later became known as Pretty Woman. This was a significant opportunity, as Pretty Woman would go on to become a beloved and iconic romantic comedy. However, at the time, Per Gessle faced a challenging dilemma. He didn't have the time to compose an entirely new song specifically for the movie. Despite the offer, he had to decline the request to create a theme song for the film. Instead, he made a different offer to the movie's team. Gessle proposed a Christmas song he had already written, titled It Must Have Been Love, Christmas for the Broken-Hearted. Director Gary Marshall, who was working on Pretty Woman, was evidently taken with Gessle's Christmas song. In fact, he found it so appealing that he made the bold decision to re-edit the entire movie to incorporate this song, even though it had a Christmas reference. The change required altering the lyrics from Hard Christmas Day to Hard Winter's Day to make it fit within the film's context. This decision turned out to be a stroke of genius, as It Must Have Been Love became an integral part of the movie and is now inseparable from its iconic scenes. The song perfectly captured the emotions and sentiments of the film, enhancing its impact and emotional resonance. Richard Gere did his own piano playing for the movie. In one of the memorable scenes from the movie, Richard Gere, who portrayed the character Edward, is seen playing the piano. What's remarkable is that Gere didn't just act like he was playing the piano. He actually performed the piano piece himself. What's even more impressive is that he composed the music that Edward plays in this particular scene. This showcases Gere's musical talent and dedication to the role, as it required both his piano-playing skills and his ability to create an original musical composition for the film. Following this piano performance, there is a pivotal and intimate moment in the movie, a sex scene between Edward and Vivienne. Naturally, this kind of scene in a film is carefully choreographed and planned. However, during the filming of this scene, the actual sound of their bodies moving and touching the piano was not suitable for the final cut. The noise they generated while engaging in the scene was described as horrible and distorted, rendering it unusable for the movie. To remedy this, the film's production team had to rely on post-production techniques. They dubbed in the sound of their bodies interacting with the piano during the editing process, allowing them to create a more controlled and cinematic representation of the scene. This post-production audio editing was necessary to maintain the film's quality and overall tone, as the original sounds produced during filming did not align with the intended mood and aesthetics of the scene. Julia Roberts convinced Richard Gere to take his part. When Julia Roberts and Richard Gere first crossed paths, it was evident to those around them that there was an undeniable chemistry between the two. Their connection was so palpable that it held the promise of creating an extraordinary movie. However, despite this apparent spark, Richard Gere initially had reservations about taking on the role in the film Pretty Woman. At this point, Julia Roberts was quite keen on having Gare as her co-star in the movie, and she was determined to make it happen. Realizing that Gare was hesitant about accepting the role, she took it upon herself to persuade him. In a pivotal moment, Gare was about to decline the offer over the phone when Julia Roberts devised a clever and heartwarming plan to change his mind. As he was on the verge of saying no to the producers on the other end of the call, Julia Roberts discreetly handed him a small post-it note with a simple yet powerful message. "Please say yes." This heartfelt and earnest plea from his co-star touched Gare's heart and resonated with him. Filled with emotion and moved by her sincerity, he decided to reverse his decision and accept the part. And so, it was this small, spontaneous gesture that ultimately led to Richard Gere taking on the iconic role in Pretty Woman, setting the stage for one of the most beloved romantic comedies in film history, all thanks to the undeniable chemistry and a heartfelt plea from Julia Roberts. Sylvester Stallone turned down the role of Edward. The casting process for the lead roles in Pretty Woman was a fascinating journey with several prominent actors considered for the parts before the final choices were made. The character of Edward, which was ultimately portrayed by Richard Gere, had a few actors in the running before Gare's selection. Initially, Sylvester Stallone and Albert Brooks were both approached to play the role of Edward, but declined the offer. Other actors who were considered included Harrison Ford, known for his iconic roles in various action and adventure films, Danny Glover, Denzel Washington, celebrated for his versatile acting skills, and Bruce Campbell, a cult favorite actor with a unique screen presence. However, the role eventually landed in the capable hands of Richard Gere, who brought his charm and charisma to the character. For the role of Vivian, a similar array of actresses was considered before Julia Roberts secured the part. Uma Thurman, a rising star at the time, reportedly auditioned for the role. Jennifer Connelly, who had already made a name for herself in the industry, and Sandra Bullock, who would later become a beloved actress, both turned down the role before it was offered to Julia Roberts. Interestingly, the studio initially had a different actress in mind for the role of Vivian. They favored Meg Ryan over Julia Roberts. However, they eventually went with Roberts, a decision that would prove to be a career-defining moment for the actress. Even the role of Edward had its share of deliberation. Al Pacino, a legendary actor known for his intense performances, went as far as conducting a screen test with Julia Roberts before ultimately rejecting the role. American Sniper. The 2014 film American Sniper, directed by Clint Eastwood and starring Bradley Cooper, tells the gripping story of Chris Kyle, a U.S. Navy SEAL sniper with a remarkable track record in the Iraq War. The film portrays him as a cold and calculated soldier with a warm side, emphasizing the complexities of his character. One notable scene in the movie has gained some attention and raised eyebrows among viewers. In this particular scene, Bradley Cooper's character, Chris Kyle, is depicted as feeding a baby. However, eagle-eyed viewers quickly noticed that the baby in question appeared to be plastic, and the bottle being used was clearly fake. This unusual and somewhat awkward choice in the film's production immediately sparked curiosity and discussion. Behind the scenes, it was revealed that the use of a fake baby was not the original plan. Instead, the filmmakers cast a real baby to appear in the scene. However, as often happens in the unpredictable world of film production, the real baby fell ill and was unable to participate in the shoot. To make matters more complicated, the replacement baby, intended to stand in for the real infant, didn't show up as scheduled. This left the production team with no other viable options but to use a fake baby in the scene. While the use of a fake baby in a major Hollywood production like American Sniper may seem unusual, it illustrates the challenges that filmmakers face when dealing with the unpredictability of working with infants and young children on set. In this case, the choice to use a fake baby, while not ideal, was likely the most practical solution to maintain the film's shooting schedule. Despite the controversy surrounding this specific scene, American Sniper was a commercial and critical success, earning 6 Academy Award nominations and ultimately winning an Oscar for Best Sound Editing. The film's portrayal of Chris Kyle's life, both on and off the battlefield, remains a powerful and thought-provoking exploration of the complexities of war and the toll it takes on those who serve. Richard Gere improvised, snapping the necklace case shut. In Pretty Woman, one of the most iconic and memorable moments involves a scene where Richard Gere's character, Edward, unexpectedly snaps a necklace case shut just as Julia Roberts' character, Vivian, reaches into it. This scene has become a classic cinematic moment, parodied and referenced in various forms of media over the years. What makes this moment even more special is that it wasn't originally in the script. It was an improvised addition by Richard Gere. Gere's decision to spontaneously close the necklace case during the scene injected an element of surprise and spontaneity into the moment, catching both his co-star and the audience off guard. Julia Roberts' reaction to Gere's unexpected action is what truly made the scene iconic. Her initial shock, followed by genuine laughter, was not scripted, but rather an authentic response to the unexpected turn of events. This unscripted reaction added a level of authenticity and charm to the scene, making it all the more memorable and endearing. Some pretty awesome scenes got cut. During the post-production process of Pretty Woman, director Gary Marshall and his editors, Raja Gosnell and Priscilla Ned, had to make some tough decisions about which scenes would make it into the final cut of the film. As is often the case in filmmaking, a number of noteworthy scenes ended up on the cutting room floor, despite their potential to add depth and dimension to the story. One of these deleted scenes featured a romantic horseback ride, with Edward and Vivian riding horses together against the stunning backdrop of a sunset. This scene likely showcased a tender and intimate moment between the two lead characters, further developing their blossoming relationship in a picturesque setting. However, for reasons of pacing or overall narrative flow, it didn't make the final edit of the movie. Another deleted scene involved Vivian squeezing packets of ketchup onto an absurdly expensive steak. This moment might have added a touch of humor and a glimpse into Vivian's unpretentious nature, highlighting the contrast between her down-to-earth personality and the luxurious world she was entering. Again, while this scene had its merits, it didn't ultimately make it into the film. Finally, there was a deleted scene where Edward almost got into a confrontation with some gangsters who attempted to extort drug money from Vivian. This potentially intense and dramatic moment could have added a layer of conflict and danger to the story, but it was omitted during the editing process, possibly to maintain the film's focus on the central romantic narrative and tone. Drew Barrymore and Winona Ryder were deemed too young to play Vivian. During the casting process for the role of Vivian in Pretty Woman, both Drew Barrymore and Winona Ryder expressed interest in auditioning for the part. However, director Gary Marshall, who was responsible for making the final casting decisions, felt that both Barrymore and Ryder were too young for the role. At the time of shooting the film, Winona Ryder was 19 years old, while Drew Barrymore was even younger, at just 14 years old. This age gap between the actresses and the character of Vivian was a crucial factor in Marshall's decision. The character of Vivian was written as a young woman, and the significant age difference between the two lead characters, Edward and Vivian, was already quite noticeable. Richard Gere, who portrayed Edward, was 40 years old at the time of filming, while Julia Roberts, who ultimately secured the role of Vivian, was 22. The age difference between the characters, with Vivian being in her early 20s, was deemed significant but still acceptable within the context of the story. However, had Vivian been portrayed as any younger, it would have created an even more uncomfortable dynamic between the characters. That bathtub joke. In the film Pretty Woman, a movie known for its iconic moments, one of the most memorable scenes involves the character Vivian, portrayed by Julia Roberts. This particular scene is etched in the memories of the audience for its combination of music and humor. As Vivian passionately belts out hits from the legendary musician Prince, the atmosphere is electric and captivating. The scene takes an unexpected turn when Edward, played by Richard Gere, enters the room to have an important conversation with Vivian. He has come to discuss the substantial amount of money he intends to provide her. As the negotiations unfold, he reveals the significant sum he is willing to offer. What makes this scene truly unforgettable is Vivian's reaction to the staggering amount of cash. Overwhelmed with excitement and disbelief, she loses control of her emotions and spontaneously dunks her head underwater. This impulsive and humorous reaction adds an element of surprise and charm to the moment. What Julia Roberts, the actress portraying Vivian, was unaware of at the time was that there was a well-orchestrated joke waiting for her when she submerged her head underwater. As Vivian dunked her head, the room was filled with laughter and amusement from the crew. Not just any crew members, but even the director, Gary Marshall, and her co-star Richard Gere were in on the gag. As Julia Roberts resurfaced from her brief underwater moment, she was met with a sight that she had not anticipated. To her surprise, the room was empty, as Richard Gere, Gary Marshall, and other crew members had all rushed out of the room, unable to contain their laughter and wanting to maintain the element of surprise. This delightful and unexpected twist in the scene highlights the camaraderie and playful spirit that can often be found on a film set. It also adds a genuine and spontaneous touch to the film, making it one of the most memorable and endearing moments in Pretty Woman. Not so romantic. In the movie in question, a sizzling and passionate romance blossomed between the two lead actors, creating an alluring and captivating storyline that drew in audiences. The film was punctuated with numerous love scenes, designed to intensify the chemistry between the characters and engage viewers in the unfolding romance. For those watching, it might have seemed like a seamless portrayal of affection and desire, leaving little room to consider that the actors themselves might have experienced any shyness or discomfort. However, behind the scenes, there was a surprising revelation about one of the lead actresses, Julia. Despite the fervent and passionate love scenes featured in the film, Julia Roberts, the talented actress in question, experienced a high degree of nervousness during these intimate and steamy moments. The intensity of these scenes and the pressure to convey believable passion and desire left her feeling extremely anxious and tense. The level of discomfort and nervousness reached a point where it became challenging for Julia to perform adequately in these love scenes. In some instances, the tension was so palpable that it resulted in the need to halt the filming process. The cast and crew recognized that Julia's unease was affecting her ability to effectively act out these passionate moments, and they took steps to ensure her comfort and well-being. Vivian dressing style. In a captivating turn of events, a particular outfit managed to captivate the fashion world, making waves as one of the top trending styles for young girls. This ensemble, sported by an unidentified young woman, consisted of several eye-catching components that collectively took the fashion scene by storm. At the core of this iconic look was a striking mini dress, paired with thigh-high boots and blonde wigs. However, it was a seemingly unassuming red jacket that stole the limelight and became the focal point of the trend. The jacket's appeal was so overwhelming that many girls across the globe began to replicate this look, aiming to emulate the chic style of the original wearer. What makes this story even more fascinating is that the red jacket, despite its newfound popularity, never actually made it into the movie for which it was intended. The movie's costume department had been diligently searching for the perfect jacket to feature in a crucial scene, but their quest seemed futile. That was until a serendipitous encounter occurred. One fateful day, a member of the film crew happened to spot a young woman casually strolling down the street, sporting the same red jacket that had become a sensation among fashion enthusiasts. Realizing that this was the perfect match they had been desperately seeking, the crew member decided to take action. In a spontaneous moment, he offered the young woman $30 in exchange for her beloved jacket. Little did the girl know that her everyday addery would make its way onto the big screen and become a lasting trend that would transcend the boundaries of the film. This unexpected twist of fate turned her simple red jacket into an emblem of style and influence, ensuring that her fashion statement would be celebrated and emulated by countless individuals for years to come. What do you think about Pretty Woman's untold secrets? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.